On Thursday the 5th of August 1993, after not being seen or heard from in 5 days, the door to a 25-year-old man's home on Rickman Drive in Lee Bank, Birmingham, was broken down by concerned loved ones. There they found the decomposing body of 25-year-old Wayne Quashi, leaving them wondering, how did a healthy 25-year-old man end up dead, and what happened to him? This is the story of 25-year-old Wayne Quashi. Glenroy Wayne Quashi, known to all as Wayne, born in Grenada in the Caribbean on the 29th of May 1968, eventually emigrated to London with his family and went on to become a bricklayer. In 1988, seeking a change from the fast-paced London life, Wayne moved from London to Birmingham. In July 1993, 5 years after moving to Birmingham, Wayne decided to fly to New York, America, to pay his dad a visit for his birthday, where he stayed for a week before returning back to England. Wayne returned from America on the early morning of Saturday the 31st of July 1993, and upon his return, he went straight to his girlfriend Glenda's house in Handsworth, Birmingham. At around 10:30 a.m. that morning, Wayne left his girlfriend Glenda's home in Handsworth to go home to his flat in Rickman Drive, Lee Bank, Birmingham, saying that he was tired and going to rest, most likely because of jet lag. At around 1 p.m. that day, Wayne was seen by neighbours going into an off-licence opposite his flat. Neighbours then saw him enter back into his block of flats around 1:30 p.m. At around 3 p.m, neighbours heard Wayne arguing with a man in his flat, allegedly about money. The argument attracted the attention of the neighbours because they claimed that the argument went on for a considerable amount of time. Five days later, on Thursday the 5th of August 1993, concerned that Wayne hadn't contacted her and she couldn't get hold of him since the day he had come back from America, his girlfriend Glenda decided to go over to his flat. So she went over there with another woman named Beverly Logan, and some reports say that they had to break into the flat to get in because the door was locked. Once inside, Beverly Logan discovered the decomposing body of 25-year-old Wayne Quashi. He was sat in an armchair with a pillow and quilt covering him. He'd been dead for 5 days. Police were called and they initially determined that Wayne had died when a drugs parcel he must have carried over from his trip to America had burst in his chest. And they had come to this conclusion when they discovered that Wayne had travelled to America using a fake ID in the name of Floyd Hamilton. But the police were about to get a surprise when Wayne's body was taken to the morgue for autopsy. Because during the autopsy, they got the shock of their lives when they heard a tinker of metal fall onto the post-mortem table. And when they looked, it was a bullet. The bullet had been dislodged from his brain during autopsy, shocking both the pathologist and the police as they realised that there was no burst package in his chest that Wayne had smuggled over from America that had killed him. Instead, Wayne had been murdered and shot in the back of the head. Police interviewed more than 1,200 people and put up a £5,000 reward for any information on the murder of 25-year-old Wayne Quashi They also put up more than 300 posters around Birmingham City, and a team of 45 police detectives were also brought in to conduct house-to-house inquiries, as they believed that Wayne Quashi, who had been shot in the back of the head at point-blank range, had been executed in his home over a drugs feud. A hotline was also set up for anyone to come forward with information, but not one person ever called the hotline. Police say they were met with a wall of silence, with senior police officers saying, "We are having tremendous difficulty persuading people to talk to us about Mr. Quashi, so that we can build up a picture of his lifestyle." During a press conference, Wayne's mother Kathleen and his then 22-year-old sister Alicia, both still living in South London, appealed for help from the public, with Wayne's younger sister Alicia saying, "Wayne was a likeable person. We can't think why this would happen. Perhaps his friends and associates are afraid to come forward, but there is a confidential hotline number that they can call." Fighting back tears, Alicia also said, "The worst thing is not knowing why. We don't care what he was doing. We just want the truth." The only witness to come forward was one of Wayne's neighbours, 53-year-old Jean Harwood, who said that she was up late a few nights ago when she heard what she described as a big bang. She said that she thought it was a car backfiring, so she went to the window. And when she went to the window, she saw a white car in the middle of the road with its doors wide open. She then saw a man jump into the car and speed off. 2 police officers flew to New York to try to piece together the last week of Wayne's life, and they believed that whoever had shot Wayne at point-blank range in the back of his head was known to Wayne, and that the killer either had a key to Wayne's flat or had been let in by Wayne as he knew him. Based on this line of inquiry, police were looking to question Wayne's flatmate, 27-year-old Armand Walker. But Armand had fled to America. Despite this, the police said that they were not treating Armand as a suspect. Police also gained information that on the last day that Wayne was seen alive, an acquaintance of his by the name of Stafford Collins had been seen at Wayne and Armand's flat that day, but Stafford had also fled and emigrated to America. A few weeks later, Armand Walker returned back to England but was still not considered a suspect. Police eventually arrested an unnamed man in his 20s in connection with Wayne's murder, and he was taken to Solihull police station for questioning, where he was held for 3 days. But the man was eventually released without charge. After conducting forensic tests on the bullet that had fallen out of Wayne's head during autopsy, forensic science discovered that the bullet had come from a gun that had been used previously in an attempted murder. On Friday the 23rd of July, 1993, 1 week before Wayne's murder, the same month that Wayne had been murdered, a 21-year-old man by the name of Michael Christie from Newtown in Birmingham had been at Thashas Nightclub at the same point during the night. At some point during the night, Michael had accidentally stepped on a man's foot while at the bar. Enraged at what he saw as a disrespect, the two had an argument where the man invited Michael Christie outside Thashas Nightclub to confront him at around 12:30 a.m. There he pulled out a .38 revolver and began firing at Michael. 21-year-old Michael Christie was shot in the neck, the stomach and in his groin, the bullets just missing vital arteries and organs. As Michael collapsed at the entrance to Thashas Nightclub in Handsworth, his horrified friends drove him to Dudley Road Hospital, where Michael underwent several hours of emergency surgery. Despite being gunned down, Michael survived the shooting. After the shooting, the gunman fled. Police launched a city-wide search for the gunman, describing him as a crazed gunman and a psychopath, saying, "Clearly we are seeking a very dangerous man who shot another man for a ridiculous reason. I would urge anybody who can name him or help with the inquiry in any way to either speak to us in confidence or give the information on our telephone crime line." It was discovered that on the night that Michael Christie was shot outside Thashas Nightclub in Handsworth, Wayne had also been at Thashas Nightclub, unaware that in just over a week's time, he'd also be shot with the same gun, but he would not be so lucky. The next month, Michael Christie was released from the hospital with the aid of a walking stick, and was surprised to learn that a man had been killed with the same gun that shot him just over a week after he'd been shot. When questioned by police, Michael said that he did not know who Wayne was, but Michael refused to answer questions by reporters when asked if the shootings was possibly a drugs links, saying, "If that's what the police are saying, then you'll have to ask them." In the next few weeks following Wayne's murder, knowing that Wayne had been at Thashas Nightclub in Handsworth at the time Michael Christie was shot, and that Wayne had frequently gone to Thashas Nightclub, plainclothes police officers mingled with club goers at various Handsworth nightclubs that Wayne was known to go frequently to try to get information and a full picture of Wayne's background. But nobody was talking, and the club visits failed to turn up any evidence, and despite numerous appeals, the case would eventually go cold and there would be no more developments for the next 4 years. In May 1995, nearly 2 years after Wayne Quashie's murder, Stafford Collins, who had been seen at Wayne's flat on the day of his murder, the one who had emigrated to America, was arrested in America for possession of cocaine with intent to supply. He was jailed in America for 6 months, although it doesn't appear that he served the full jail term. And upon his release, he was deported back to England. Stafford Collins of Westbourne Road in Handsworth was then arrested for the attempted murder of Michael Christie, as well as possession of a firearm with intent to endanger life. He was also questioned about the execution-style murder of 25-year-old Wayne Quashi. He was eventually charged with the murder of Wayne Quashi alongside Wayne's flatmate, Armand Walker, and they were held on remand to await their trial. Piecing together the chain of events that led to Wayne's execution-style murder, police determined that on the night that Michael Christie had been shot outside Thashas Nightclub, Wayne Quashi and alleged gunman Stafford Collins, who were acquaintances, had been in the club together that night. When Michael Christie had accidentally trod on Stafford Collins' foot, Stafford had gone outside to confront him, followed by Wayne Quashi, who was his friend. According to police, when Stafford had shot Michael Christie, Wayne had been the only witness to the crime. And due to the publicity of the Michael Christie shooting case, Stafford had become paranoid and decided that in order to get away with the shooting, then he would have to take out the only other witness to the shooting, his friend Wayne Quashi. He decided to silence his friend Wayne forever, most likely due to the saying that dead men don't talk. So on the day Wayne returned from his trip to America, Stafford Collins came to his flat and shot him at point-blank range in the back of his head, execution style. 29-year-old Stafford Collins was the youngest child of 10 and had grown up in a deeply religious home. His father, 73-year-old Benjamin Collins, was a minister at the Triumphant Church of God in Hilltop, West Bromwich, and said that Stafford had never been in any trouble before. Stafford Collins denied the murder, insisting that he was innocent. His preacher father, Benjamin Collins, said, "I believe my son is innocent, and I will not disown him. He needs my help and support." At Stafford Collins' murder trial, after almost 2 years on remand and nearly 4 years after Wayne Quashie's murder, on the 11th of March 1997, at Birmingham Crown Court, Stafford Ruel Collins, now aged 32, continued to deny the murder of Wayne Quashi and the attempted murder of Michael Christie, but the jury found him guilty on all charges and sentenced him to life in prison for the murder and an additional 12 years for the attempted murder of Michael Christie. Upon sentencing him, Judge Justice Dyson said, "Stafford's actions were reminiscent of the Wild West, and that has no place in society. This was absolute lawlessness and will not be tolerated." His co-defendant and now aged 32-year-old Armand Walker, who had been Wayne's flatmate, was acquitted of the murder on the directions of the judge due to lack of evidence. After the verdict, Stafford Collins' distraught father, 73-year-old preacher Benjamin Collins, wept as he spoke of his now convicted son, and he reminisced about his son's happy childhood, saying, "This is the saddest day of my life. I had no idea my son was involved in anything like this. He was brought up in a spiritual household and taught proper morals and to respect others. Stafford used to come to church with me and listen to my preachings. He insists he is innocent, and I believe him. My spirit cries out for the families of the victims too. This has left scars on all of us, and I shall be praying for everybody involved." Stafford Collins tried to appeal his conviction for murder, but his appeal was turned down by Lord Chief Justice. So, let me know what you think in the description box. Do you think Stafford Collins was guilty, or was this a miscarriage of justice? Till next time, stay blessed.